It's working.
Second try. Second try is the charm. I know what to do to fix it now. It took me over an hour. But look, now that I figured out how to do it, it was really, really fast. It's episode 337, February 21st, 2022 on Canadian Patriot Podcast. This is John McDonald with Music and Truth Until Dawn. Right now I've got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. It's 9 o'clock Canadian, another day closer to victory, and for all of you out there on or behind the line, this is your song.
We'd love to hear your feedback about the show, so please visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com/feedback or email us at feedback@CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. A version of the show is available on Stitcher and iTunes.
If you need your help to support the Canadian Patriot Podcast, visit patreon.com/CPP and become a Patreon. You can get a better quality version of the show for just $1. Sure you're not a communist? I don't know if that still stands now, but buy a CPP t-shirt anyways for $24.99 plus shipping and theft. Visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com homepage and follow the link on the right.
And this brings us to my... This brings us to my favorite segment. It's called Why Are We Drinking? No, what are we drinking?
I think the why is obvious, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we start with Liz? Liz, as a person who identifies as a woman, we will let you go first. What are you drinking?
Oh, thank you. I am drinking tea with some, it was going to be scotch, but instead it's premium whiskey and infused with Caribbean rum. Mixed with tea.
I mean, that sounds pretty good.
It is pretty good.
Okay. I'll give it a try.
Over there.
Peter, what are you drinking?
Whiskey and ginger beer.
Everybody's feeling very festive, very Caribbean.
Yeah.
Gavin, what are you drinking?
In honor of the police in Ottawa this weekend, I'm drinking Canadian Club and Diet Pepsi. Too soon?
Nope. That was well done.
Perfect.
Yeah.
It's very on the nose.
Canadian Club does get a bit on the nose.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Pierre, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking Signal Hill with nothing. And since it's so good and it goes down so fast, I brought some spare cold shots because I don't want to drink a whole bottle tonight.
Good man. I have Road Trip from Black Swan Brewing. You know, celebrating all of the convoys.
There you go. It tastes like burnt rubber or asphalt.
Tastes like an ale. It's good.
There you go.
Patriot Challenge reminder, asking our listeners to do 5 things every day, be a better person. Exercise, practice a skill, read a book, drink your water, and complete one task that improves your life, because you should always be improving your fighting position.
Especially after today.
For reasons that may become apparent. Upcoming events, the Canadian Coalition...
Sorry, on that note of the Patriot Challenge, I've been trying to do a little bit more exercise lately because I've mostly just been doing the ruck. Means mostly shoveling snow more often. I did 44,000 steps yesterday.
That is a lot.
I was quite proud of myself.
How do you still have feet?
Well, I did another 33 today, so yeah.
Just looking at my watch, I did my week 5 ruck today for the new Shooter Canada Ruck Challenge, and I am sitting at a whopping 17,000 steps. So I got you're well and far away and much ahead, Peter.
There's a few guys in the Discord that added me to their Fitbit group for the work week hustle last week, and I wasn't sure they were going to invite me back this week. It was a little embarrassing for them.
Yeah. Yeah, you're getting a lot of steps. I mean, yeah.
I'm shoveling snow. I've been working shoveling snow because I was bored, so I started helping out a buddy of mine. So that's why.
Well, everything is a contest.
Yes.
And we are a group of people who like to win, so
yes.
Yes.
I don't think I'm setting any records today for my week 5 ruck for the new Shooter Canada Ruck Challenge. Just over 9 kilometers in 90 minutes.
Yeah, that's a good number.
It's not a bad number. I would have liked to have done better, but it's cold and miserable, and it's the temperature where the snow is thawing, so it was just wet and miserable the whole time.
Yeah.
It sucked the same way as the government does.
Did you have to pay to go for the walk?
Wet.
I can do cold. It's the wet. I can't do wet.
I take cold and wet over rough and hard.
I
That's basically what they're giving to us right now.
Depends on your safe word, I suppose.
Yeah, I was just about to say, what are we talking about? Just so I can, I know, right?
was about to tell you that I picked up some really great muck boots, and my feet were both dry and warm, and then we went a different direction. So
Yeah.
Those are good boots.
Degenerates will be degenerates. Yeah.
Yeah.
You pronounce bricklayers wrong. Sorry, correct.
fair.
Oh boy. Should we get into the news? Do we have any other housekeeping to take care of?
Do you want to
Is there
talk
any
about
gun
the
stuff
event?
we can talk about?
Or has the webpage been updated?
Well, let me start with my Roger Katanko update before we talk about the protests and emergency orders and everything else. Because there was we talked about it last week. We'll talk about it again this week. SIU finished their investigation. The probe into the Roger Katanko shooting has been provided to the director of the Ontario Special Investigations Unit. And now the director needs to make a decision if criminal charges will be pressed or not against the officers involved. It's not news per se, but it's like the next step in the process. So now
It's
we're
a
waiting
standby
to
to stand by.
Can you read anything into that? Like, would they come up with the same deal if there wasn't a chance of there being criminal charges? Like,
No, it doesn't matter. This is just the process. Police shooting goes to SIU. They do a probe. A report
I'm
gets
just
created.
talking about the wording of the waiting for director.
I don't think so. I don't think so. The spokesperson for the SIU has been the same spokesperson for the last several years, and she is very politically minded. So she speaks in language that there is not a lot to read into, and it's very consistent from one case to the next that I've found.
Okay.
So we'll see. I don't know. I think they have a couple of weeks they have to review this, but I do think they do need to have a response within, I think at the outside it's 30 days again. It might be less than that. So not news per se, but because I mentioned last week that it was due, it did get submitted and they did make a comment that it was submitted. So on to the next step. And I think comparing and contrasting with events in Ottawa and elsewhere around the country, we should go to BC. A place with scenery so great that you'll still starve to death.
Yes.
This is in the National Post. Violent overnight attack at coastal GasLink site in BC leaves workers shaken millions in damages. A bunch of people armed with machetes and axes and flare guns, apparently, attacked and destroyed equipment and buildings at a coastal link gas pipeline work site in northern BC. They lit a truck on fire with people in it.
It's amazing those damn truckers made it all the way back from Ottawa so quickly to BC and continued to tear. Oh, wait, that wasn't truckers. Weird.
I'm impressed that they managed to like knock excavators and things over. I mean, like,
okay, those machetes must have been amazing.
and like, it's northern BC. Maybe they leave the keys in the excavator and somebody like figured out how to flip it. But also, like, every single piece of heavy equipment on the site seems to have just been demolished.
I realize on this. This is definitely not that like world famous brand Canadian Tire machete for $6 or whatever it is, because like millions of dollars in a single event, which is
Like
insane.
any of those photos, it honestly looks like they were in like a friggin' asteroid hitting the earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were not.
And
Well,
I don't know about
Maybe
that
that's
big
the
of
answer.
equipment, but I do have some experience with some heavy equipment. And the keys thing, I don't know if like the the hundreds and hundreds of thousand excavators and everything, if they're universal keys as much as other stuff, like you can walk in places and just be like, yeah, I need a key for this. They don't ask questions, they just sell you a
right.
pack of
And
keys,
I don't know
right?
that.
So
I don't know if it's like a universal key situation or like they leave the
Yeah.
universal key sitting in the ignition or, but
Yeah.
like, I don't know
Yeah.
what it takes to flip an excavator on its side, but it seems to me that it's not a thing that you're going to like, you're not just going to like run over to it and knock it over.
Yeah, it's hard enough to tip a cow, and an excavator is bigger than a cow.
So the other thing, those thumbnails of the actual like news articles, those trucks look pretty tiny in those thumbnails, but aren't those the ones that are like the size of a friggin' house practically?
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
the way that the damage
rock
was, it was like it came from like on top or like
Well-
the side. Nobody's just, it doesn't just happen.
No, I'm sure they got at least one machine going.
Yeah.
To do
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
kind of damage, you had to be using one of the machines. There's no.
I'm sure they were running them into one another because that's,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that
for sure.
that's what
Which
it
They were
all
sounds
still
like a good
nicely
time, yeah.
parked. They were still
Yeah.
really nicely parked though. I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
but if you take an excavator to a rock truck, you can do some serious damage pretty quick without knowing how to drive it.
But-
Well, and I
also,
wonder if
yeah,
that's not what it is. Like they're just swinging
Yeah.
the bucket around, hitting whatever they can hit, and manage to
Yeah.
like flip their excavator.
Yeah,
but also, I mean, from my experience watching Cars, maybe they went for a nap.
A strong
no-
possibility. Lightning McQueen is my favorite.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Like, or someone scared them, like those cows, right, where they all flip backwards. And that,
Yeah,
you never know.
Mhm.
It might just be that.
I mean, the incredible
possible.
thing about all of this, though, is that the protest for this has been going on for like a decade now. Like off and on with the rail lines earlier, in the pandemic or whatnot being
Yeah, that
shut
was
down
in
for
2020.
It was
Yeah.
2020.
Yeah.
for six weeks the railroads were blocked, and now millions of dollars in damage, and no emergency act.
Well,
put
hold
into
on.
place.
Well,
Before
hold
you
on.
get carried away, let me read a statement from this is what's this guy's name? I don't know. Horse
Warren
Police,
Brown.
McHorse Police? Right.
Oh, yeah.
Chief
Warren Brown.
Superintendent Warren Brown, the commander of the Northern District of the British Columbia RCMP. While we respect everyone's right to peacefully protest in Canada, we cannot tolerate this type of extreme violence and intimidation. I think we're
so-
conflating protesting and
Yeah.
I'm not sure what
Destruction
they
of property.
well, like
Destruction of
attempted
property.
murder? I don't know. Like they lit vehicles on fire with people in it, man.
Yeah, that's not cool.
Yeah. So I'm glancing at our next article. So how many accounts were frozen? How many people were arrested? And how many bylaw tickets came out of this
Precisely
peaceful-
none.
Yeah.
this peaceful overnight attack on coastal
Yeah.
pipeline?
Mostly peaceful protest. Yes.
Yeah, mostly.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously
Yeah.
it wasn't from the fringe minority that is occupying part of Ottawa for a bunch of other stuff, but people arguing the fact of something that would benefit the Canadian economy even more than these mandates being lifted and, life's getting back to normal after 2 years. Yeah, let's just fuck everything up and then call it peaceful.
Well, and that was the distinction, the counterpoint. I don't know, the piece that I want to draw with this was the contrast between a specific group of individuals with a grievance with the government and the coastal pipeline and their peaceful protest where they attempted to commit murder and destroyed millions of dollars in property, and an actual peaceful protest in Ottawa where the government called in the police to crack skulls and run people down with horses.
Like,
I feel like there's a difference in the use of force in these situations.
Yeah. It's
Right,
almost
like,
like they got the wrong, like the memos got switched, and it was like the response that should have been for Ottawa went to the guys out in BC and vice versa. Because it's like if you're trying to murder people, even if it wasn't like you were trying to murder them, but like you're like, maybe I'll just scare them by lighting the vehicle they're in on fire. It has
Yes,
the
and attacking it
potential
with
for,
a machete.
it has the potential for murder. So yeah, where are the rubber bullets and the tear gas and the mace and the whatever those broom handle
It's
things?
different when the Wet'suwet'en people do it. It's unceded land, Gavin. We need to respect their cultural norms.
But
Oh,
the
so they
band
get to do it for-
again
yeah.
came out and said they did not support that.
No, but people
But
in the
they're-
band did. So
Well,
But
it's
so
the
NDP said the same about the fucking
Yeah.
Emergencies Act and still voted for it.
no the Wet'suwet'en
well, that's only because that man's
tribe-
hat's on too tight.
The Wet'suwet'en band themselves is actually for the pipeline, as are their elected community leaders.
Yes,
but
and the
their
difference with
chiefs-
this is, of course, the difference between the hereditary chiefs and the elected chiefs. And the argument goes something like the elected chiefs only have authority over band matters on reserve, like on treaty land, whereas the hereditary chiefs have a duty to protect all of the unceded land that they claim as their territorial homeland.
The interesting thing about this, though, is, and I think it's a perfect
That the
example.
RCMP didn't run over a single person with a horse.
Well, that too, but like it's a perfect example of government because it's the same. So the elected ones are the ones that are basically doing the thing that everybody wants because they are responsible to the people that vote them in. The other ones that are just like chief for life because can do whatever it is that they want because they don't ever really lose power until they die. So
they can take funding from anybody and do whatever they're told, and it won't matter. They'll just keep raking in the money.
Yeah.
Like from Tides Canada.
Yeah.
You're not trying to say this is all like centrally funded.
Well, it's certainly not crowdfunded because that's not allowed.
It most definitely is.
Well, shall we continue with the honking?
Honking will continue until freedom improves, or
Need more
the
honking.
jackboots come out.
Yeah, or we all get our doors kicked in.
I mean,
I
I'm going to
thought I
start
was
somewhere
supposed to be
different.
getting a
but
visit at my front door. I haven't seen anybody yet. I was told
There's still
somebody
4
was
minutes
coming
and
to my
32
door.
seconds left on the timer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. It's enough
I
time to
sent them.
finish my whiskey.
Exactly. Finish your drink.
I was going to start with an update, but I think maybe it'd be more fun if we talked about the leaked text message, the WhatsApp group, the RCMP Social Musical Ride 2022.
Yeah.
Hashtag heroes.
Yeah.
I enjoyed this. I don't know who leaked their WhatsApp chat. I also don't know what sort of device they were using where they couldn't take a decent screenshot and they instead took several dozen screenshots. But it is nice to see all of the officers' names and phone numbers on it.
Yeah.
Because fuck your OPSEC.
Yeah.
They were all posted on Instagram too, and then they were taken down and reposted and taken down. And
Oh,
then
yeah.
posted.
Well, and there's watermarked ones on the Rebel News now. So if you
Yeah.
go to rebelnews.com, they've got their watermarked ones. And also like boomer screenshots of screenshots, which
Shout out to
guys, it's 2022. Can we learn how to take pictures on computers, please? But
Hey man, that print screen button doesn't always work, bro.
I mean,
Yeah.
that aside, I don't know. I'm not a WhatsApp user because the whole like Facebook ban thing, and also because I don't trust them as far as I can throw them. But
Which
This
is
Brian
probably
guy?
for good reason because
Brian seems like he's going to get in some trouble over these.
Yeah.
well, and I'm sure hopefully the officers in question, like most of the people haven't really said anything, but there was a couple in there that were like, someone should probably investigate this person in their comments because
You know, I have seen a
They
lot
are
of comments.
though. The RCMP already said that they are.
Well, that's good. I'm sure the RCMP will do a great job of investigating themselves and finding they've done precisely nothing wrong.
yeah.
Like every
Which-
time that
Also
freaking
true.
interim chief kept coming out and saying, so impressed with how professional and excellent job the officers are doing. We've seen some violence in the protesters, but the officers have been perfect and we're the best, and you should just keep cheering for
all
us.
those tweets coming out saying that what's happening in Ottawa, except it doesn't match up to anything that you're seeing in the live streams, where it's like,
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's a really bigoted take on things there, Gavin. You must be some sort of like white supremacist.
So
yeah,
from anything I've learned from 337 episodes is they didn't advertise what they were drinking to get away with all this. They should.
Yeah.
No, they
really-
definitely did. They definitely did. Nixon posted a photo of his beer.
One. But I mean,
Cheers to that sweet OT.
yeah.
Right. But yeah, in your
That
defense,
guy has plausible deniability.
yeah,
That's
he
it.
might have. Right. And I mean, so I'm up for debate about anything that's being said here. For all you know, this is semi sort of keyboard warrior. I mean,
I have no doubt that this is I have no doubt that this is actually RCMP members because these people's names line up with people on the roster, but also like a bunch of them are shit talking with their friends.
Yeah.
right.
And
Like,
I don't think your average RCMP constable is going out and like trying to run little old ladies over with their horses. But I also think that that's a thing that is happening. And I don't know. There's a there's a demarcation in there, and I'm not sure where it is because like you're being told that these people are terrorists, and your job is to enforce the laws. So you should be, cracking skulls of terrorists. But a reasonable person can look at the situation and be like, maybe running little old ladies over in walkers is not like the best course of action here.
Yeah. And
There was one cop that crossed the line.
I
And
heard of
was
that,
immediately
and I haven't
arrested, was he not?
yeah,
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah.
I
But I
haven't
agree.
seen.
Like if
I
they're
But cheers to that guy.
yes,
Yeah. See,
We
if
should-
he was drunk, plausible deniability. See,
Right.
listening to the beginning of all our shows gives you an out. Just saying.
but yeah. So like I agree. Like if you're shit talking with your friends, you say
Mhm.
stupid things and whatever, and like that's absolutely appropriate, and everyone does that. And you're
Yeah.
going to say some probably spicy, inappropriate things, but it's meant as a joke mostly between your friends, and it should stay
Yeah.
that way. This looks like the group was opened up to be pretty large, which I guess is part of the reason why and is stupid. So if you're going to do this with your friends, make sure they're your friends and not like friends of friends of friends. Keep the circle small.
I don't know. My understanding is most of the officers involved are all part of the musical ride program. So like that is not a small number of people to begin with.
Yeah.
But also like, I don't know, don't post your stuff on WhatsApp and then like
Yeah.
don't share
Yeah.
your screenshots of your like we're looking forward to being jackbooted thugs on the
Yeah.
internet. Cause
Have a
like,
little common
you
sense.
you should know. You should be reasonably aware as like an intelligent person in the current year. You should be able to figure out like if you say it on the internet, someone is going to find it at some point.
Yeah.
Which is why I looked forward to being in court and reviewing all 337 episodes of this because it will go on for a long time.
Yeah.
I've only got 37 to go through, but I don't know if that's much better with a few of my episodes.
But yeah, like maybe have a little common sense. Don't say the things in a group that size where you don't necessarily know everybody, and certainly don't say things like that while the event is still going
Yeah.
on.
Well, and that's
Like-
what I like. So it's probably in poor taste more than anything else. And I don't mean that as an excuse for
Well,
shitty police officers, but also like most of them probably are not that shitty. They probably don't go around like beating up homeless old people because they're just like jackbooted thugs. Some of them might actually be jackbooted thugs, but the vast majority of police are probably not.
But in that situation, those comments could sort of like bolster
Well, but this
those
is-
that are shitty or some people that are like on the
And
borderline.
This is the problem with this is like you're in law enforcement. There's a higher degree of care that you're expected to exercise. You should set a better example. Don't make comments in poor taste.
well, that
like-
was kind of what the RCMP did when they did their statement is they're like, there is a code of conduct that they are expected to adhere to, and we will be investigating this. And I'm like,
Yes,
I get it.
and there'll be
Yeah.
there'll be no real
Well, it's-
repercussions or consequences,
Oh,
yeah.
but
Nobody
I mean, it's-
talked about consequences.
No,
no,
Accountability
that's what
is not
I
a
mean.
thing.
Right, and like unless any of these people are being investigated for anything that they did at this protest that would be considered up and above what the peaceful protests and most of the officers were doing. It's just shit
Well-
talking between friends, and that's
Yeah, but
like,
there's a line,
I
though,
get their
so-
cops. There is a line, but until someone does something, like
Well,
I
but
mean, we've got a
clearly-
chat. We say stuff. You can talk with some friends, and you can
Sure,
cross
the-
those lines because it's you think it's with a group of friends. So I mean, that's
The
shitty on their
difference
part.
is,
that
though,
someone
is
did
that our group chat amongst the panelists and various other, we are not in positions of authority at the moment as a group, and we are not actively involved in policing people.
Speak
At the
for
moment.
yourself.
But until
Right?
someone in that group chat actually says something, like, and that's the hard thing I have or the hard time I
No.
have understanding, right? Like, no, I get a lot of those things they said were kind of douchey on their part. Like, hey, I hope we get to crack skulls and everything. But I mean, would many people on the panel, if they were given full blown, a free pass on certain situations, maybe not on a peaceful protest, like I'm not talking about this specific scenario, but say the gulag came and anything happens, you would, we shit talk, and that's fine. But until one of those people in that chat actually it does something
The
wrong,
difference is
or
when you
pushes
Fed
that
post with
boundary.
your friends, you're Fed posting with your friends. When you actually Fed post as a Fed,
Yeah.
they're-
Well, and it's
Yeah, that
Yeah,
would be
but-
my thing. There's
Yeah,
a difference
yeah, but-
between saying it to each other and like
Yeah,
putting
well, and
it
we aren't
into
cops. We're not.
writing.
Yeah, we're not
Yeah.
cops. We're not in the situation right now,
Yeah.
shit talking it with our friends who are also cops and involved in it. It's like, so when I was in high school, I played football. Football is a contact sport. You are encouraged to hit people on the other team. And there is some shit talking and all of the things. But we also, at one point, someone had the brilliant idea of having a pool that everyone pitched money in, and the first person to get a hit that took somebody out of the game with an injury got the money.
Oh, a
We
bounty.
got it. Yeah, that's going above and beyond. That's the same thing with these cops and some of the things that were being said. Not all of them, but a couple of the people in the chat would posting and saying things like that. I mean, the hashtag heroes while they're sitting in the fancy lounge with no mask on and eating all the food. Like, I think those
well,
guys
they were
realize
sitting
this
and
is
eating. They're allowed to not wear their mask.
yeah, but like,
Hope it
this is
doesn't
a
affect them in
those
those
people
spots.
realize that this whole thing is a big joke as well, right?
Yeah,
Like,
and
this is,
and the
But
other
I'm
thing
just-
too is that, like, I get what you're saying, but it's the some of the comments that they made too are very similar to like allegations that were put against the protesters.
Yeah.
So it's
and
like
I'm not saying anything they did was right, but I'm saying
Mhm.
if those 6, 7, whatever amount of officers, right? If they're just shooting the shit, this is how they're getting away from
Sure.
being, hassled,
Yeah.
being the front line. I mean, we've all seen the live videos. You were there,
Yes,
Liz.
but-
Like,
Yeah.
being hassled by
the-
peaceful protesters, being told what to do.
The
you
difference
need to
with
stand
that-
here.
The difference with that is that if there was no police presence in Ottawa, the exact same thing that happened for the last 3 weeks would continue happening in Ottawa because
I
there's
don't disagree.
yeah.
there's
They're
no
in a
crime,
position of
there's
a-
no arson,
Yeah.
there's no like
I get what
the
you're saying.
the only
though,
people
Pierre,
doing
like,
the violence are the police.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
but
they're
I-
in a position of authority, and they need to be
Yeah.
held to a higher standard than a group of people that are not in positions of authority.
I think it's the content of what they were saying, not that they were doing the conversation. Because you're right. Like, everybody has a rough day. Everybody needs to blow off steam. You message people that you can actually legally talk to about this.
Yeah.
And that's another thing too, right? Like you're limited in who you can converse with if you're somebody in that position. But it's the content of what they were talking about, I think, that makes it just a little gross. That's my opinion though. Like
No, I agree. I think there were certainly things that looks like people that are reasonably close, friendly, work together a lot, something like that. There's obviously they're having a bunch of jokes because like the whole like hashtag heroes as they're all stuffing their faces.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So like clearly some of them are joking, but also like they're also joking about, oh God, the black helicopters have gotten Pierre. Where did Pierre go?
I was gonna say, is Pierre gone for everybody else?
Well,
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
mean some of the comments were just like distasteful, right?
Well,
It's
and,
not
and
about
that's
them, like,
that's where the
it's
problem
not about
is.
them
is
shooting the shit or anything like that. Because like Pierre's right, everybody does it, and you kind of have to. And
yeah.
in that sense, they really could only do it with each other because
Yes.
you know.
And had
that
the politicians
situation-
not put them in this situation, it would be a
Yes.
non-issue. But you're in
However,
that situation,
like,
and there's a higher
some
standard
people-
of care. So, like,
Yeah.
don't be a knob.
Well, I would go beyond saying that. And like some of the statements that they made about like the horses, jackboots, like all that shit, that is not knob. That is like straight up evil humanity. That is,
Well, I mean,
Like-
10% of everybody's an asshole, and 10% of that's actually evil, right?
yeah.
But
Like,
But, you know,
so I'm sure that the RCMP will investigate themselves and find
So
themselves having not done anything wrong. Yes, and we see that you're back, and the helicopters did not actually arrive at your home. That's good.
unless it's a
Yeah,
plan.
no, so
They've
I
replaced
missed a
Pierre
bunch of
with a
stuff.
Pierre lookalike.
It's a deep
So
fake.
I missed a bunch. I'm just saying, right? Until someone in that chat has done something wrong, I have a hard time holding them accountable due to just potentially blowing off steam.
I think the
crazy
joking
stress of
the
everything
joking
there.
about running people
Yeah.
over with horses thing is like that's over the line. Over the
Yeah.
line,
Right.
dude.
Yeah, especially if that was after that. Yes, that was
Yeah.
crossing the line. But blown off steam, it could be stressful. You're away from your family. You stand there all day outside in the cold trying to do what you're being told, whether you agree with it or not. I just, I do want to say maybe they should get a little bit of relax because it's a group chat. If everybody in that chat has done something really douchey and against anything in that protest, then yes, fuck them. But if it's just people potentially blowing off steam, I'm all up for whatever they're saying, because we've all been there where you've got, just people are pushing your buttons and you want to just rant with some friends, right? We do that daily, but
Yes, but I don't threaten to like run people over with my horse, and I think that's where the
Right.
distinction is.
Yeah, and even if we
Absolutely.
did, we're not in a position of authority. Like to me, that's the biggest part of the whole thing. It's not just
Yeah,
a
but-
group of friends that are shit talking. It's cops, RCMP that are shit talking the people that they are in the process of policing. That's the
Right.
distinction.
but
That's
at the
like
same
Trudeau and all
time,
the other world leaders getting on a chat and going, haha, look at all of these suckers doing all of the stupid things and how that we're going to treat them and all of this, and like, screw those people. It's the equivalent. Like those
And-
people
and
are
I
in a
don't
position of authority.
disagree,
They need to
but-
be held to a higher standard, and they shouldn't be doing dumb shit like that. And if they are,
But-
they need to be smarter about it and delete the freaking messages.
yeah, but at the same
Well,
time,
I
right?
mean,
Like
not
we're-
to
we're
like
all up-
overstep here, but maybe the RCMP should look at using Signal and set up disappearing messages.
Yeah.
But at the
I
same
mean,
time,
I don't
right,
want to give the Queen's Cowboys ideas on how to run their OPSEC here, but like this
they
is
already
weak,
know,
gentlemen. This is very
Yeah.
weak.
right?
You
But
think they're gonna be able to get that through? That's got to go through
But-
18 different levels of freaking procedural garbage, and they'll never make.
One, is anybody else like a little bit annoyed that the RCMP is using WhatsApp as their like team text message service? Like,
no, so don't even get me started, okay? But that's
you guys don't have
So-
like a secure solution. You're not rocking like the BlackBerry
I think
messengers or
that
anything.
I don't think that this is sanctioned by the RCMP. Let's be real.
No,
It's
they're
just
probably-
a bunch of coworkers that are like,
Oh,
hey,
They probably
Officially.
still use GoToMeetings for all of their online training.
probably. Yeah.
And I don't disagree with a lot, but I mean, as much as yes, we should hold cops, politicians, a whole bunch of stuff to a higher standard, right? At the end of the day, they are all human, right?
I still think this is over the line. Like this is
I'm
unacceptable
not
behavior of
disagreeing.
people in a uniform.
I'm not disagreeing 100%, right? I'm like 75% agreeing with you, but they're human. They may be there against their will because let's be honest, right? None of us are cops. None of us are.
No,
civil
speak for
servants.
yourself.
I
I
mean,
glow at dark. Man.
so why do you think I get drunk before the show and during the show so Andrew can't throw me in
I'm
jail?
pretty sure everybody on here is a Fed.
I mean, maybe, but
Y'all need to wear
Right,
Spider-Man outfits one
I
time.
do. So a big reason I do have a soft spot for this is I do have family and extended family in police force,
Mhm.
right? And I say that because like they're human at the end of the day, right? So let's say you have a family member that's been in the police force, whether it's OPP, regional police, Ottawa police, RCMP, or whatever, and you gracefully decline being sent to Ottawa.
I don't think you're
And
getting
then-
to gracefully decline on this. I think
No,
people are getting
so-
told like you're
Yeah,
going.
So that's what I mean, right? You gracefully decline, and then at some point they say, "Fuck you, you're going." Right? So they come here because after, say you've
But
been
those
in
guys
whatever police
probably
force.
aren't the guys that are going overboard with the comments, right? They might be
No,
like
but at the same
ones that are-
time,
being
like,
granny with
once you
I-
put the funny brown outfit on and you get the hippie beater out, like
Yeah.
all of a sudden, when your only tool is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So when you get issued your hippie beater, well, all of a sudden it looks like you got a bunch of hippies need beaten.
Oh, yeah, and I get
And I mean, like, don't get me wrong, I'm the first guy in line if there's an opportunity to beat a hippie, but like,
yeah, and like I get it, like doing the search and rescue thing and being friends with a bunch of cops and all that, like the sense of humor that these people have is usually a little offside, and you see some pretty gnarly stuff, and the best way to deal with it is by doing jokes that are offside. You generally do that after the fact, though, not in the moment, and that's part of the problem too.
But
And you certainly don't do it in a chat with
I'm
a bunch of people. And
I'm gonna like just interject and say that we might be beating a dead horse with this conversation.
hey,
You guys are not.
Oh.
You guys are probably not going to agree on the statement. Like, I get it. Like.
but-
well, I don't know. It's
It's-
not necessarily about agreeing. I think that's part of the fun of this is that we get to
Yeah,
provide different
absolutely.
perspectives
Yeah.
for the.
see, but
we've been
notice
accused
how
of being too agreeable in the past. So
It's
But
true. I
notice
feel like we've
how-
got a little bit better of a mix.
yeah, but notice how we've all had the disagreement. We can have a conversation, and no one has been called a Nazi yet.
And I haven't even run anyone over with my horse.
I'm really not
Right.
used to that style, so I'm having a hard time recognizing it. I
Oh.
don't.
Get
I
used
don't.
to it.
You-
I haven't seen it lately. I haven't seen
No,
that style lately.
would
and
it,
I-
would it
Like,
help if we
right?
started calling people Nazis? Because like we could do that.
Maybe. I mean,
We start
like,
with the
if you guys
government?
pull out your batons and start shoving, I think it might help.
I think
So-
I got a hippie sticker around here somewhere.
yeah, I've got
Yeah.
Find
So
one quickly.
yeah.
We can send the horses with that
Yeah.
warrant for later if you want to
Yeah.
be trampled on.
Well,
Bring
let's
it.
let's beat a
Say.
slightly different horse then.
Okay.
Niagara Falls review. This was in a bunch of different things, but like 5 things you need to know about the protests in Ottawa. That's not actually the name of the
Oh,
article, but
Basically
everything.
what it is.
It's the same article in like it must have been on like the what's the wire service, the Canadian Press.
Canadian Press. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, because it was like it's all over, but I couldn't find an original source for it because nobody's actually quoting where it came from. They've all got their own byline and like slightly
Uh-huh.
different, but like the 5 points are the 5 points.
Yeah.
Police are putting up fences. They don't know when their operations are going to end. Tamara Litch,
Approximately
one of
2
the
weeks.
organizers, had her assets frozen. She was in court over the weekend. She's going to be in court again on Tuesday this week. There have been 76 accounts frozen so far for a total of $3.2 million. 191 people have been arrested. 107 have been charged. And
think
bylaw
the
gave out
next one's typo.
3,600 tickets. What's that?
Yeah, I think there's a typo there. It is 3,600.
Yeah,
Okay,
3,600.
yeah.
It says
Because
36.
the comma's at
Oh.
the wrong spot,
Yeah.
and that
No,
threw
no.
me off. I was like, is it
No, the
36?
Yeah,
comma's at the right
3,600.
spot. The
I
comma's
get
at
that.
the right
Like, is-
spot.
I spilled some
I
beer
didn't
on my
know if I
keyboard. It's sticky.
Yeah, I was like, should I delete a zero or remove the
3,600.
comma? Okay.
3,600 bylaw tickets.
Okay.
And the
So-
police
okay,
are
someone
accusing
fix it.
protesters of spreading dangerous misinformation, doctoring
So
photos and
dangerous.
such.
Oh,
They, well, they
How about
also-
those
So,
videos?
so the
protesters-
protest,
It's really hard to
protesters-
do that on a live stream.
One complaint at a time.
So the protesters are the one that leaked the WhatsApp conversation, which means it's all bogus. And the last like 20 minutes of us having, a conversation, which is completely pointless because it was a bunch of those, Nazi bastards.
We've definitely doctored that photo of the horse going right over top of that lady,
Yeah.
too, right? Like
That was
she
a
wasn't even
bicycle,
there.
sir.
Oh.
That was
Yeah, that was
100% a bicycle.
bicycle.
How
I have
dare
a
you.
question about that. I have a question about that. Somebody
I don't know
brought it
what
up
kind
to
of
me.
bicycle it was.
Did anybody else not notice that she wasn't the only person that got trampled? There
Yeah,
was a
everything
dude
there's
that,
Two
Yeah.
people on the ground.
Two
in
people.
that photo.
and nobody
Yeah.
has heard anything about this guy
The
that got
guy's
trampled.
fine.
Like,
They're
It's
not
fine.
Clearly a plant.
I don't know if I should say it, but I mean,
Fed.
they weren't of the status.
Yes.
ding ding.
Uh,
Yes.
So, I mean, I think
He was
that
a
is an-
white man, so he was not very
so he
useful.
wasn't of
He had
the
a brown
status
jacket
that
on.
would be worth reporting.
Yeah.
I think that
I
is an
guess I don't
interesting
think
point, though.
works
So
that
this
way.
is like a Mohawk clan mother that got run down by a police
Something
horse.
like that, yeah.
Oh yeah,
And if you watch the videos, like she's clearly just talking very peacefully. Like of all the people, I'm like, she's not an agitator. She has a white flag on her scooter and she's like talking peace and love.
Mhm. Now the Mohawk tribe is talking
I
shit,
mean,
apparently. and
The
calling people
Mohawks
to
have a
do
pretty
But
good
they're pretty
record against this
excited.
government, so
It's like Oka 2.0.
that. Let's go.
Oh
buddy.
yeah, no, I hope they get the war band together and like just
boys are
real-
back in town.
Yeah,
so next Saturday, are we getting scalps?
I mean,
No, I'm becoming a Mohawk.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm gonna start
Yeah, I'm
identifying real
Gonna
fast.
identify as.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm gonna
that's why
have to
I'm saying,
identify
are we
as one,
identifying
but
as
I don't think I'm
Mohawks?
gonna actually be able to do one. It's
I'm
like
gonna need a
reverse
velvet
Mohawk
and
thing.
all the ammo.
No, but let's all be
TRCMP,
Mohawks
that's
and
how
we
you
go
fed
fucking-
post.
Yeah.
We're gonna start
Implying
scalp
those were
hunting.
helmets and not actually
Come on, man.
AKs they had.
Oh,
So
man.
we're scalp hunting the next weekend.
I'm refraining from comment on that because this
Yeah.
is an entertainment podcast, and while it will
It's
be
on the
fun to
internet.
listen to this, I
Plausible
don't need to be indicted.
deniability.
It is
I'm
on
on
the
the
internet,
cold
yeah.
shots,
Thing.
which means I've had a lot of signal help.
He's talking about a head massage, guys. Come on.
Oh yeah, Is it
Right.
with that
Scalp
weird little
massage?
prong thing that you can
Yeah.
get in like Chinatown for
Massage.
like $1. Oh
Yeah.
man, that thing is awesome.
Yeah, that's what he's talking about. See? Can't even frick.
I am
Sure.
I'm a little bit concerned about the differences between our mainstream media, the other English speaking press in the rest of the world, and what
Yeah.
I actually was able to observe on live streams. Because there seems to be a few different points of view on this. And the Ottawa Police Service seems to be in the minority opinion.
Yeah. Well, the
I'm not
fact
saying
that
that's
they're even
wrong. I'm just
trying
saying,
to
like,
claim that,
watching
like,
it
we doctored-
myself and watching other English language media outlets and then watching the Ottawa Police Service press releases, the Ottawa Police Service seems to be the one that disagrees the most about what transpired.
Wait, but I mean, even trying to say that we doctored things, it's like hundreds of live streams that are being streamed live would be very hard to doctor as they're being streamed live.
So I think
From,
part of that is
like-
that, like, somebody posted a fake Twitter picture Twitter,
Yeah,
screenshot of a Twitter post. I don't understand how Twitter works anymore, guys.
yeah, but
The
like,
last one, you got it right.
Yeah,
The
screenshot of
screenshot.
a Twitter post.
Yeah.
Right, but like somebody had like taken a screenshot of an Ottawa Police Twitter post and altered the content of the post in their photo,
Very
which
easy
like
to do.
Okay.
technically true, but also like maybe we shouldn't treat screenshots of Twitter posts as like factual information that's reliable.
Also, like memes are a
But,
thing,
bro, is
so
this
like
your first
maybe
date?
that's what they're just trying to do is create a meme, but they're not very good at it, or like
I'm
maybe
not
someone
good
should
at it.
accuse the CBC of misinformation and lying and all of that stuff as well, because that's
When the
probably happening more
CBC
frequently.
starts saying that everything the government is doing is like above board and also like gives the CBC millions of dollars, I begin to wonder if like maybe there's some collusion there.
So I had a family member,
Had a drink.
whatever, question me about something I posted on Instagram this week, just involving like the police being violent or whatever. And she said, why are you angry about this? Like the police have been doing a great job and it's the protesters who are the issue and blah, blah, blah. So I started sending pictures and live feeds and stuff. And I didn't see that on the news.
It's
Whoa.
almost like they're trying to control the narrative and only show you things that they want to support their argument with.
Yeah.
I don't understand how people still think that way though.
TV
Like,
race, man.
didn't
It's
see
honestly,
it
it's
on
just
the
it's
news.
just because people are raised to believe everything the TV tells them is true. It's not their fault.
And
They've just
that's
been
the thing, right?
conditioned, programmed to believe that like what they're being told. Because why would the government ever lie to them?
Well, so along those
many
lines,
reasons.
like we were kind of talking about it this week on the chat. Like I was raised to believe in civic duty and the importance of,
Oh.
respecting those authorities. And, like that's something that I've heard a lot in the last week that, you used to tell your kids that if you're ever in danger, look for a police officer. And they're like, that is no longer, right?
No.
And
Fuck, you'll get trampled by a fucking horse.
Yeah, now
Yeah.
it's look for the
Now it's
police
like, look for
officer
a
so you stay
trucker.
out of danger, right? Like,
Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
the
well,
cop around.
I
Get the
actually
fuck
had
out.
I had an opposite upbringing, I guess. So
Yeah.
for me, it's I actually
Uh,
kind of had to learn that myself as I kind of became an adult, was because I had a really negative view of cops for a long
Mhm.
time because my mom would call them on me and they would come and act all tough and hey, stop being an asshole, whatever. And so I actually had to learn that
They aren't parents.
they're not-
They aren't your parents.
well, that they're just not all assholes. I had to learn that.
They're your parents. They're just may not be your friend. I grew up in a household. I grew up in a good Catholic household, which is surprising that I'm on here. But my dad was military for
We're
22
equally
years.
accepting of
We're-
all of the religions,
Yeah.
the correct
We're good
ones and the
Christians around here,
Catholics.
we're good.
Yeah, but like
Whoa,
my dad
whoa,
was
whoa,
military
I am
for
Protestant.
22 years.
Me too. With
Like
you.
my dad was 22 years military. We grew up 5 kids. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. My dad was military. He did a bunch of tours. We moved all over the place. Sorry, and they tried to send him to, I want to say Bosnia, and my dad was like,
Oh,
"Get
God.
fucked," and quit. Right, and then it was whatever. So like, yeah, no, I mean, to each their own. I mean, family upbringing will have something to do with it. But I mean, I don't even tell my family I'm on this podcast because like my daughter
I mean, that's
won't be
probably
able
smart.
to, no, but my daughter won't be able to go over for supper, let alone me being invited. If I get invited to supper or not, I don't care. But like I worry about my daughter. And I mean,
Yeah.
we've had discussions at family functions, and I'm like, I try and bite my tongue best as I can, but like, it kind of comes out and I'm just like, but, and I'm pretty sure my family would have an open mind to like, let's have a adult conversation now that we're all above the age where we could drink, and let's just have some drinks and have a conversation about a difference of opinion. But like 10 years ago, buddy, I wouldn't tell them anything. Like most of my family is 100% liberal supporter, right? They would be there just, hoping to get a little splooge on the face from the Justin Trudeau.
Which side of
Like-
the river are they from?
What river are we talking about?
The one that divides the butthole from the armpit.
Oh no,
Ontario-
they're past that.
Ontario-
The
They're past
descriptions of geography
It's
on this
not
show are really.
armpit. Okay, so
We should draw a map.
Toronto
On a shirt.
is
Yeah.
I'll work on it.
Toronto's the butthole, right? Ottawa is the gooch, and the province of Quebec is Le Gros Coq, which is French,
But like,
right? So we didn't grow up in any of those, right?
Okay.
but yeah. like, so-
I'm East Coast family, East Coast.
I
Both
mean,
my
I will
parents.
say this that's been interesting about the media thing, and like the Canadian media has definitely been lying to people and showing only one
What?
side of this. It seems
What?
though, and my parents were down in Florida, and I just picked them up the other week, and like in the car on the way back from the airport, I was like, so before you hear it from anyone else, I was in Ottawa the other weekend, and they're like, okay. We could have sworn that you were there the weekend before when you said you went ice fishing. I was like, no, I was actually ice fishing that weekend. And I was in Ottawa the weekend after. And like my parents are like
Yeah.
voting conservative, but like much like most conservatives are not particularly conservative and are fairly liberal.
Yeah.
And they've been on board with the media and the whole COVID thing from the get-go and everything. But like being in the States and seeing more
Especially
of what's
Florida.
actually well, and that partly changed some of their views being in a mostly free state, and seeing what's happening in Canada with a little bit more of a unfiltered view. They've started to change their tune slightly about some of this, and like they agree that like Trudeau has gone too far and that the cops have gone too far and that this whole thing is getting blown out of proportion. And the reaction that you're getting to this versus like the decade long protest against the pipelines and 6 weeks of cutting off the rail lines, and it's like the minute that the actual politicians are like inconvenienced slightly, it's let's call the state of emergency. Who cares when the rail lines were shut down for 6 weeks and people were like in a crisis in Quebec because they couldn't get propane and stuff like that? Like screw
Yeah.
that, because the politicians weren't actually affected by it. The minute that the
Yeah.
politicians are actually affected, well, better call in the military and all the cops and everything that we can do to end this, because I
mean-
can't walk across the street to get to my office. Like, screw those
but-
people.
They're still getting fucking paid. So why would they not ride this fucking train and just be like, you know what? Let the protests keep going because it's too fucking scary to walk into that building or do anything, right? So why not ride like
And those
bouncy
bouncy castles are dangerous.
On
All
Friday,
politicians are little
I mean,
bitches. Let's be honest.
You're right, but it's not an opportunity for them to still collect a paycheck and to explain that they're scared of bouncy castles and saunas. This is an opportunity to steal more power to exert their political will over others, which really, that's really why they're there. It's not about getting paid. I mean, it's about getting paid, but it's not just about getting paid.
Yeah.
Because for them,
Money
it's
and
not
power.
just that $20 is $20. It's that it's $20 is $20, and they can tell you what to do with yours.
Yeah.
Ooh, we're talking
one thing-
dominatrix shit. That's just like
Yes.
That's not
The
20
one
Yes,
thing-
financial
one thing that they did
domination.
point out
Yeah,
said-
but at least that's consensual. This is not. This has gone so far beyond consensual.
this is Epstein stuff.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
Which
Peter,
his buddy just
Yeah.
Peter,
committed
do
suicide
not
too.
hang yourself tonight.
Which again is
I would
weird.
not
like
let anybody
to
in your
everybody
house
know that I
to
have no
say-
mental illness. I do not wish to kill myself. If you find me hanging in my room, it was not me. So everybody knows.
Okay.
But this
Uh,
is the weird
Yeah.
thing, right? We've
So
got
Friday,
all the
so
names
Friday
of
they
the
shut down
people.
Parliament.
Yeah, all the
Yeah, so-
names of the people on the donor list, yet not the names
Yeah.
of the people that were Epstein's clients.
Yeah, I saw that
Weird.
one and it made me laugh. Right?
Weird.
Like fuck.
Yeah,
It took what two days?
I'm pretty sure
Maybe
most
three-
of that list you can find on some
Yeah.
torrents.
Yeah, they
So-
absolutely voted today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one thing that made me angry this weekend, other than all the police bullshit, when they suspended Parliament on Friday because there was going to be police action, and it was too dangerous to come to work virtually.
Yes.
All these conservatives that have now decided they're against the mandates stayed home. And I thought to myself, hey, like if I was somebody who was going to go and support the truckers and say that I support the truckers and support the getting rid of the mandates, I'm not working today. I live in Ottawa. Maybe I should go and support the truckers, and I'll be there standing with them while the police are pushing. Not one.
Yeah,
So-
but it
of
doesn't
course
make
they
for a
do.
good
So-
talking point in the future. Right now, they
so-
can. Go ahead, Pierre.
That's very fucking Nazi of you to say, in case you haven't listened to the news.
I'm sorry, I was trying to be polite by allowing you to go ahead.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
you mean Peter.
you're very fucking Nazi for that.
Me or
You're the
Andrew?
next
I'm
fucking
confused.
Hitler, apparently. Right?
Me?
According to everything news
Oh,
related,
I see.
you're the next fucking Nazi for saying that.
No,
Yeah.
actually, that would be the guys who are in power currently.
Oh,
That's
okay.
they're literally the definition of fascism at this point.
I mean, socialist, yes. National socialists, not so much, since they don't believe in the country.
Okay,
But
post-national socialist, yeah, I guess.
all right, we can call them Panazis.
Pisakis.
Oh. Okay.
We should call them cold shots
Maybe
because they're
appropriate.
little fucking can bitches.
I mean, put that down as a possible show title.
Yes, little can bitches. That's what they are.
I was going with
Right,
cold shots, but that's an option too.
Little can bitches. Don't go cold shots. Little can bitches. If I have anything to say with the show title, little can bitches. That's what it's.
I don't know if iTunes is going to get mad at that one. Maybe.
Eh,
Guess we'll
We
find
could
out.
put biatches or whatever won't conflict with it being nays with. the
Yeah, we'll
hipster
see.
Parents.
We'll see. Yeah, I'm sure I've done things to upset iTunes before, but whatever.
Mhm.
So, Emergencies Act.
Emergencies.
Yeah.
So I
today,
don't
just
take
before
it
we
too
started
seriously. We've been on the air for about an hour, and my door hasn't been kicked in.
It's a step in the right direction.
If
I'm
you
not gonna
start
lie,
to hear
though.
the helicopters,
No, I'm really close to the gooch. Right? That is Ottawa.
Oh, okay.
I'm really
Okay.
close to the
I had
gooch.
to think about back to my geography lesson from half an hour
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah. No, I'm really close to the gooch, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
but I guess
a little bit closer to the butthole, but a little bit further from the big cock.
there you go. But I guess we should, for people that don't know, maybe we should explain how
Yes,
this whole
please.
emergencies thing works. So I guess
Yeah.
the act was voted on by cabinet, which is all the liberal ministers, which then starts the Emergencies Act, which allows the government to do things with basically no oversight.
I've got a question, teacher.
Yes.
Okay, so is it that the prime minister calls for the enactment of the Emergencies Act, and then he has 7 days to present the plan and for them to vote on the plan? And in those 7 days, he can do whatever he wants? Is that?
Yes. So
mostly
sort
the
of.
governor general in council, or no, the governor in council,
Yeah.
governor general in council, governor
So I
in
guess the
council,
prime
not
minister,
the prime
I guess,
minister,
has
but
to talk to the premiers and
Right.
get their input and basically kind of say, hey, this is what I'm thinking of doing. Do you guys support this decision? He then goes to cabinet. Cabinet will then vote on it.
Which was
And then-
tonight?
Well, no. So
no,
Okay.
cabinet
that was
is like,
last week.
yeah. So
Yeah.
the
Okay.
cabinet
Cabinet
is
was
like
last week.
the ministers. So it's all the ruling party's people. So like, of course they're going to vote on it, right?
Yeah.
He then has 7 days to table
7 sitting days.
sitting days,
Yeah.
yes, to table that to the House and Senate. However long it takes
So-
to debate and vote on it then is up to that. But now that the House has voted on it and voted yes, it goes to the Senate, and then the Senate has to vote yes or no. And then he's got 30 days from when it was originally started. But yes, in that interim period where it hasn't been voted no on, they can more or less do whatever they want because the act has already been put into power.
Well-
It's the vote that sort of limits it to a
Yeah.
short period of
I
time.
don't mean to burst everybody's bubble, but they could already do whatever they wanted because, and I don't know why people seem to
Yeah.
have forgotten this, and not specifically the panel, but just like the internet generally, and maybe specific listeners have not heard this. But TD started locking out people's bank accounts before the Emergencies Act came into force. So like the government was already directing financial institutions to stop
Yeah.
people from accessing their money.
Yeah.
I feel like that got like slightly overlooked in the media, which I mean, big fucking shock, right? But the government was already telling people like you can't do that and using their goons to enforce the rules. So yes, now they've passed the emergencies measures, but that's just making it so that they can legally ignore your rights and freedoms, which they were already doing.
Well, I
They
mean,
just
I'm
now
just
have a
surprised-
law that
yeah.
says they're allowed to. It hasn't
I'm
like the practical consequences are not any different.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't
Well,
just issue
I
another
vote
order
we
in
get their-
council and just be done with the whole thing altogether.
So I vote we get their WhatsApp fucking conversation, see what the fuck they're talking about.
Oh,
I
good.
really,
There'd
really
be a whole
hope.
lot
that-
of dick pics.
Oh yeah, there's that too.
A lot of
okay.
interest. Yeah.
So I've got another question here. So for the next, so that means that when the Emergency Act gets put into place or did get put into place, that is essentially the suspension of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, correct?
I mean, I guess that's how you interpret the new thing. So the War Measures Act,
Yes, but also
basically,
no.
like balled
But
that
mostly
all up and
yes.
threw it out the window. The new Emergencies Act that replaced the War Measures Act is supposed to still sort of take your human rights and all of that stuff into consideration, unless it's inconvenient, in which case then ball it up, throw it in the garbage.
Right. So what do you think is going to happen if this gets all the way through? Like, what do you
So-
think that means?
The same things as
Beforehand.
before. They're going to be able to lock up people's finances and then physically
Yeah.
lock those people up. If you're dissenting from the government opinion, and I'm waiting for the
Well,
no knock wellness check here. But if you're dissenting from the government opinion, they're just going to lock you out of society. And if that doesn't suit them, then they're just going to actually put you in jail because now you're a terrorist, white supremacist Nazi.
well, and
Did you
so-
guys see that link that I sent you about it's the map
Which one?
of Ontario? It's on the chat. It's the map of Ontario. They've released, somebody released all the postal codes of people that donated.
That,
Like,
but we donated.
Yeah.
If you listen,
you were on the
live,
list. You might get a thank you card from my sister. That's what she told me she was doing.
yeah, no, I'm on the list.
well, I can make it
because
easier.
we
I'll just give
specific-
her my address. And
She
Yeah.
will, you'll probably get like thank you cards from 4 little kids that are like, thank you.
But and I didn't do it for anything of that, right? Like we made,
Wait, you don't want a
because
thank you card from little kids?
I didn't do it for the cards. I didn't say I wouldn't take the little cards, right?
Okay,
We did
okay.
not do this. So, we made shirts.
Mhm.
We took the.
Mm.
We're not that big because Andrew hasn't ordered more shirts because our listeners don't order more shirts. So listen to
buy
the
another
beginning of the
shirt.
show.
Don't be a
Right.
communist. Buy a t-shirt.
Yeah, so don't be a communist. Order shirts. So Andrew has to order more, right? So we took out the cost. Right?
We're just
What
going
it
to start
cost
drop
us-
shipping. I'm running out of shirts. Pierre's just going to be a print-on-demand service for t-shirts.
uh,
I can kind of make that happen with this a reasonable amount, but right. So we made shirts. We took the cost out of what it costs to make the shirt pretty much to the penny, and then took everything else and donated because that's
well, yeah.
just
So
what it is.
Okay,
And then
so
the
we
second. Sorry, go ahead, guys.
no, it's like my concern with this Emergency Act thing is that like basically it was expressed highly that this would be considered a vote of no confidence. So if it got
Yeah.
voted down, it would trigger an election. They'll
Let's
just continue doing
liberals.
that,
I'm in.
except
Yeah,
that
but
didn't work
was
for
it-
us, and that's going to cost a lot of
It's-
money and do everything
it's
else, and then
Going
we
to
might get
continue
someone
to. They're just
worse
going to
than
keep making
Trudeau.
more. They're just
Like
going to keep making
Crystal
more
Freeland.
non-confidence
And so
motions.
my
What's
concern,
What are we up
that-
to? This is our fifth non-confidence motion.
Yeah. And so my concern though is that like they're already starting to say that like so it's supposed to go for 30 days and then it ends at 30 days unless it gets extended by a vote. If all they do is to vote to extend it and it's a vote of no confidence, no one's going to want to do that considering we just got out of an election.
No,
Yeah, it's been-
the NDP
and
will not want to
months?
do
That
it
was-
Yeah,
because
and
the
they're-
NDP is broke. They got
Right,
won
and
an
the
election.
NDP,
Yeah.
there's no way that in an election, if an election was called today, the same as it's been for the last 6 months. When was the last election? September? 6 months?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no way the
September
NDP.
22nd.
There's no
Yeah.
way the NDP comes out in a better position today than they are right now. Like if we have an
Okay.
election, the NDP will lose seats and they don't have the funds for it.
Yeah.
The Conservatives don't have a real leader right now, although fingers crossed for
That would
PP.
happen That would happen
Yeah.
quickly if an election was called.
Yeah.
But
I-
cross your fingers
The thing
on
is,
your
you have
PP
to.
when you're
They're-
peeing.
They're already talking
That's-
about extending the Emergencies Act because they're worried that like the truckers are just regrouping
Well,
and that they're
so
going to
they
need to
are.
lock
Bill,
the city
Bill
down.
Blair said that, and
Yeah.
his comment was, as long as the threat exists, the threat
Means
of people disagreeing with the government, that threat,
So
Yeah.
like
the
forever.
threat of people peacefully protesting that the government is
Yeah. And so
using
the
a
fact that
massive
they-
amount of overreach to take away people's finances, ability to work, and their now ability to peacefully protest in our nation's capital. As long as the threat of people continuing to disagree with the government exists, Bill Blair is all like, rah, rah, let's have the Emergency Measures Act.
And the fact that they've already used the Emergencies Measure Act, which is supposed to be a temporary thing to enact permanent changes to our system, is a huge problem because now
Well,
they're going to
and so,
go
like,
and get.
Freeland brought that part up, and we should talk about that because Freeland was in a press conference making statements about this the other day, and there's a video of it that you can watch on the Twitter if you feel so
Or the
inclined.
Discord.
Well, I'm.
She
you
twitches
should
too
hang out.
much. I struggle to watch her.
It's horrible to listen to her as a professional
she
politician, a
giggles.
person
She's
who
like,
speaks as a person who speaks professionally. She should be better at it.
Yeah, and she
Look
should
at
be
her
so
fucking
joyful
goddamn
about
prime
shitty
minister.
things.
The guy.
I mean,
And that
in
guy's
his
a
defense, he
fucking
does
leader.
speak French much better than he speaks English. So maybe it's an ESL thing.
Hey,
Oh, is that why he was
French-
calling us
French
misogynistic
is my
racists
first
in French?
language. French is
Yeah.
my first language. I take a little.
I'm just
bit
saying
of
he doesn't
offense.
and ah as much as he does in French as he does in English.
He uses and a little bit more though.
That's
Yeah.
because of Putin. Just saying. Because of Putin. Gravy,
So-
fries, cheese.
Freeland
Make
was
everything
all
better.
in a state about
Oh,
her
make
little
it
press
better.
conference. Some of the big changes that I think are going to coming out of this are FinTrack being able to, or requiring crowdsourcing to register with them. I think that's going to be a big one. I think what they're also doing with the Bitcoin wallets is going to be a big deal. And I mean, like, some offline Bitcoin wallets being like, yeah, that's not actually how the technology works. Like, sorry, Ontario Superior Court, go suck a dick, because even if we wanted to, which we don't, we can't give you this because we don't have it.
Yeah,
But,
remember
like,
blockchain?
Yeah, trying to
Yeah.
take people's Bitcoin wallets, they're now
I
going to
don't
force
know how that works
crowdfunding.
at all.
I am so far from an expert in Bitcoin, but there is
We'll get
there is
better
a
on sometime.
there is a way to do Bitcoin in such a manner that you do not have to rely on internet availability to access your cryptocurrency. And in this case, I think the provider's name is Nunchuck. The Ontario, I
Which
think
is
it's the
also
Ontario
prohibited
Superior
in Canada,
Court.
so maybe that's why it's so butthurt.
I think it's the Superior Court, but an Ontario court ordered them to freeze the assets and turn over the information regarding to a number of wallets. And they were like, yeah, that's not actually how that works. We can't do
Yeah.
that. But
All we
Good
have
luck.
is email addresses.
Yeah,
good luck. And when you want to start using cryptocurrency, let us know because your dollar is collapsing.
I think they said when the Canadian dollar is worthless or something along those lines.
Yeah,
It was
we'll
brilliant.
be here to help you. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
Which,
they're,
like,
they're
I mean,
definitely
Funny, but also like now the government
Yeah.
is trying to like take people's cryptocurrency and lock up their wallets.
What's
they're
amazing
saying
that
that
they don't
you have to-
recognize it as currency until they figured out they could tax it, and now they're
Well, now
trying to
it's-
lock you out of it. Yeah,
Now it's
Oh,
crazy.
don't even
The
get me
other-
started on cryptocurrency taxes. Me not personally, but I know someone. Yeah, they're taking about 47% out of a cash out for cryptocurrency.
I mean, that's almost as bad as my paycheck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just slightly
Like-
worse than my paycheck.
Yeah, no, it's not as bad as your paycheck, right? Because they take what, 30-ish? But yeah,
43.
I think I'm in the marginal tax rate where it's 46, but I'm not positive. I'd have to check.
Yeah.
so
I don't
he-
bother to look because it just makes me angry and sad all at the same
Right,
time.
so
It's just like,
Someone I know took, put $100 in 10, 12 cryptocurrencies,
Hey.
and hey, Ian's on the way.
yeah, this
And,
is this.
And yeah, cashed out hardcore.
But I mean, this is the
He
scary
put-
thing with the.
He put $100 into a whole bunch of stuff, and some of them won, some of them he lost. But at the end of the day, he made 800K, and yeah, government wants 400K of that
Mhm.
800K.
Oh, yeah, this is the
Taxation
scary
of
thing,
staff.
though. It's like
Tell
the
tell
only
government
thing
to
we
get
can do
stuffed.
now is literally have cash money is the only way that we can not have our assets frozen.
Or
Get
But
rid of that
the
too,
way
though.
the way that inflation is going, that cash money is not going to be worth anything other than for starting a fire with.
No, but it's
So,
polymer.
like-
You can't really. It's not a great fire starter anymore.
Yeah.
You know what
so-
they're gonna do with the Emergency Act, though, right? Like they're gonna take this Emergency Act, they're gonna sit on it a little bit, freeze a few people's accounts, fearmonger a while, and then they're gonna be like, "Hey, guess what, everybody? Canada has a digital currency, and if you don't have it, you don't have any money."
I mean,
So-
yeah.
I think it's a long road to get there, but I mean, I could see it. But I mean,
Yeah.
again, like 2 years ago, I wouldn't have expected the government to be seizing people's assets for donating to protesters.
Yeah, no, it's definitely
$50
a step in
donation.
that direction, right? Where it's like, okay, we've determined that like if they have cash money and everything, then they can do things and contribute to protests and hand it out to truckers in person because we've already frozen their accounts. But if everyone has digital currency and there is no actual hard currency anymore,
I mean, you could make that argument even about cash, but go on.
but it becomes that much easier, right? If we become a cashless society and everything is digital, then all of the transactions are tracked. Everyone will be able to figure out who paid who for what and everything else. It'll be a lot harder to hide things.
I will be living on the black market.
Unless you carry
Yeah.
out a satchel of leather satchel of silver and gold, of course, old school.
Yeah.
Good
what
evening,
are you,
Ian.
Indiana Jones, Ian?
Yeah, did I miss the part where we said the fuck the government?
No, you're just in
No.
time.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, trust me, that's an ongoing thing with this whole goddamn
Yeah.
fucking episode.
No, it's F the government at the 9-minute mark of every 10 minutes segment that we're on.
No, maybe not 9. That's
You gotta
the
live from the
beginning of
cuddle.
the show.
19, so it's right on target.
From the cuddle? When did we cuddle? $20 is $20, but I want to know about it.
Missed that part.
Don't do it while I'm sleeping.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Oh boy. I don't, Ian. Ian, do you have hot takes? You're coming into the end of the episode here. What do you have to share with the folks at home?
I think it was just a giant case of political theater today from what I saw, which was very limited because I was out wage cucking today. But honestly, yeah, I'm not surprised with the result, but I can't understand what possible emergency they can convince the public is still ongoing that justifies the use of this. But hey, what do I know? Just a dude.
Can we call out that one Liberal MP for a minute? The one who came out and had this big impassioned speech in Parliament and said, Trudeau's kind of going too far, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And who votes with his party today for the dang Emergency Act? That douchebag, light sound or whatever the hell he is.
Because it's
Well,
theater, right?
Get
He was
sucked,
saying what he
man.
thought
Get
his
a loser.
constituents wanted to hear, and then after that, just the party whip takes care of business after that.
It doesn't even matter about constituents, right? So
No,
if you're
it doesn't.
liberal, if you're a liberal, at the end of the day, doesn't matter how much you have to gag on it, even if you gotta throw up. When they say you've done a good job, you can take a breath. That's the liberal way.
I don't like this analogy.
Yeah, but
No,
it's
fair,
fairly
most-
accurate though. Yeah.
and to be
This
fair,
is
most
the
liberal
worst
politicians, most liberal politicians do not have a gag reflex, so they don't really joke on it. So
So everybody at Parliament apparently just kind of drools all over it. From what?
So, fun little tidbit that's kind of not related, but different.
But it's Liz's turn to talk, so we're gonna.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
pay
so you got me
attention.
worried when I was saying gag
Pay
all over it and
attention.
everything, and then you want to talk about. I was like, gosh,
Something
Keep going,
else
Liz, just-
is what I
just
want to
keep-
talk
keep
about.
going, Liz,
Something
you're good.
else.
Yeah.
Okay.
Try
No.
to save this. Right the ship. Come on.
Okay, yeah, I'm working on that. Anyways, so TD's stock went down on Friday though.
Bro, everybody's stock went down on Friday.
Everybody's-
Friday was a bad day, and today
Yeah,
is
but-
not better for the market, my friends.
I
Hey,
know,
but-
but isn't that interesting how people are talking with what they're doing with their money? As soon as they started shutting down and freezing these accounts, people are like, "Peace out, taking my money."
It's not gonna matter. Everybody's gonna
Oh.
forget by Thursday.
So
I mean,
Not everybody.
both.
Some people.
Well,
are.
Most.
yeah. But
Fair,
both
but
of these
people
points
will
are
forget
true,
by
I think.
Thursday.
Where are
Yeah.
precious metals sitting right now?
Better than Bitcoin, I imagine. Bitcoin was down
So-
10 points today.
So also, before I forget, I didn't listen to the vote or whatever, but apparently there was someone that voted yes for whatever this emergency act is of whatever sort. That still had their mic on that said, "Oh well, how much am I making now from now on?" Because they potentially got bribed. Now I don't
Mm.
know about actual fact. I did
I
not
haven't seen
personally listen to this video, but apparently someone's getting paid 250K this year, or I don't know if that's a deposit or yearly salary for agreeing to this crazy communist act that has been pushed forward through Communist Party building in Ottawa.
I don't know. Every politician that's in power is making way more money than their salary, and nobody knows how. It doesn't make sense.
It's where all the
So it doesn't
money
surprise
is
me at
supposed to
all.
go to
But I
provinces.
Well,
didn't see that when I was
And
young.
I mean, you know what? I
So-
want one of those fuckers to dress up in their fancy ass suits and come fucking work with me for a goddamn day
Hey,
and see how
come
hard.
shovel snow with me for 8 hours. We'll do 40,000 steps and beat your ass.
You
in the
wanna
ground.
talk
Let's
about-
go.
You want to talk about tipped over excavators?
Yeah.
That's that. Like, maybe not this time of year, but like when there's a little bit less snow and everything, like that's what I fucking deal with all day, every day. People tipping over, backhoes, excavators, and I gotta go there and figure out, oh, what happened? So I gotta bring something else, and I gotta tip over a 3-ton excavator, right? Because they went for lunch and we came back and it must have gone to bed, right? And it's on its fucking goddamn side, right? Like that's
Well, it was
what
sleepy.
I do. Yeah, it was sleepy, right? Like, so that's what I do for a living, right? I fix random weird shit like that. So yeah, no, get those goddamn assholes to come with me for a fucking day.
I don't think
When
you'd be able to convince a politician to do actual work.
Buddy, you know what? You figure out a way to make it sound peachy. And
I don't think you
will
can do it.
No.
I think they might not be the smartest people in the room, but I don't think they're dumb enough to do actual work.
Well, you know what happens when a politician shows up to work? It's like Trudeau showing up to the sandbagging a couple years ago.
It's usually like a safety violation, but
yeah.
No, and then
Yeah.
they start yelling at him, and be like, "Dude, all you're doing is bringing 40 people in here. We're trying to get work done. Now we can't work because
yeah,
you got all your dang
you're in
cameras
the
around."
way. Take your
Yeah, you're in
photo
the
op
way,
and
get out.
wander off.
Yeah.
Build your own sandbag wall somewhere else away from the people actually working. Because
Exactly.
the only
Yes.
thing that he's good at sandbagging is the economy.
Or your butthole due to the taxes.
Is
I'm
that
not-
still sandbagging? I'd rather actually. I don't want to know.
No.
Yeah. It's like this analogy
I would
is lost
prefer
on.
anything other than sand if I'm getting raped by the government.
Well,
Service
I don't know.
guarantee
Do we have
service
any
guarantee.
other spicy takes on the way out?
I mean, yes, but nothing that I can say.
Not Fed posting. Fed
Yeah.
posting does not
Not on
count.
this Zoom meeting anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, I just checked it out. Gold has been on the climb aggressively since 2019.
That is so
Yeah,
amazing.
but how's it doing today?
Today, I haven't figured out how to look that shit up.
Gold's
I'm working
actually-
on it, okay?
Oh, silvergoldbull.com would be your best
Wait,
one,
wait,
probably.
wait. Did we just get an
Okay.
intern?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it was sitting around 1800 US last week, but we'll see what it's at now.
Our
I'm not sure.
previous
Intern,
is retired,
Huck
yeah.
Finn, I'm not sure.
Potato.
I just say I got a fence that needs some work later.
And service guarantees citizenship
We'll
I
talk
mean,
after the show.
ought
About
to.
Would you like to know more?
of Andrew's
Yeah.
new country.
Ought to. Let's remind everybody, book club coming up next week. Next week, I guess I got to finish this book. Next week, we're doing the Long Range Shooting Handbook, the Complete Beginner's Guide to Precision Rifle Shooting. Which, if you buy it on the Amazon link, you will take a tiny piece of Jeff Bezos' cock rocket money and give it to me.
Yes.
And I will not build a cock rocket. So, win-win, really.
Yeah, that's what you say now. But when you have
Allegedly.
cock rocket money,
Well,
Sorry to hear you don't have a big enough cock for a rocket.
Yeah, no.
we also want to let people know that they can come and hang out with us on Discord if you want to do that. There's a Discord link. As always, all the links to all the things that we talked about, for the most part, unless I was really drunk and forgot, made it into the show notes, and the show notes are separated up by episode. If you go on the website, you can find links to the Discord, you can find links to the book. If you buy things on Amazon and we get a portion of the money, we should go around. Why don't we'll start with the late joiners. Ian, where can everyone find you when you're on time to your podcasts?
When I choose to make an appearance, yes. Sunday evenings, 9 p.m. Eastern on Canadian Prepper Podcast on iTunes, YouTube and Facebook is what I was trying to say. We might even talk about maybe precious metals one time, just for reasons.
I need more semi-precious metals. Words.
Those
I sound
things.
like the finance
Plausible
minister.
deniability.
Semi-precious metals. I'm hard up for copper-jacketed lead as of late.
how many precious metals are where they're at? For the
They do
meantime?
maintain their value just as well as anything else. Lead is still an asset.
Potato.
Pierre, if somebody wants to buy a spicy t-shirt, where can they find you?
Off the wall customizing at Gmail, or if you watch live, over my shoulder, you can find a bunch of stuff, but I have a lot to drink, so we're gonna stop there.
Good man. Gavin, where can everybody find you?
The best place that you can see all of my Fed posts is on the Instagram, Urbex GTA.
Nice white suit last weekend.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was fancy dancy.
I mean,
I don't know. Don't build into it. Now people are gonna have to go check his Instagram to see what that's about.
Hey, 20
Yeah.
bucks is 20 bucks.
hey,
That's his OnlyFans. That's different.
with all these racists on here, saying I have a white suit could get the feds to look at me.
Does it identify as a different color?
It could, yeah.
There you go. You're fine.
It's an asset lately, though. That's
Check
the
its
biggest
pronoun
issue.
today. You're supposed to ask
Yeah.
every day now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every day?
Every
Oh.
day, in case it changes.
Oh,
Be she.
and
it.
that's why I drink on Mondays.
That's why I drink. Well, I mean, that's one of many reasons why I drink most days. Liz, where can everybody find you?
Instagram, Liz_Fawcett 9876.
Good stuff. And Peter?
Mostly on the Discord. I'm on Instagram every once in a while at the Moran Life, but Discord, Wild Turkey, it's more fun.
Yeah, come hang out on Discord. Our Discord's been busy lately.
It's
I don't
good.
even
is.
know what that is.
What?
It's
It's
like
where we
it-
Fed post.
it's like base
Allegedly.
Facebook, but
It's
smaller.
It's
Just
a weird thing
chat
where a bunch of
platform
people
thing.
post stuff, and you can make laughy face emoji things to it.
Ian has an
and post
excellent
stuff.
meme
Fun.
game on there.
Okay.
Yeah, there's some spicy memes.
There's
Yeah,
some
you
really
should
good.
check that shit out. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've been happy with our Discord's going along pretty good.
Yeah, I enjoy it. The
We're
Patriot Challenge
like-
on there is really good too.
neck and neck with the Canadian Prepper podcast Discord. We're both like 100 and change users, but I don't know. I feel like ours is more
Well, they
more
all came
active.
from our podcast. We brought them all to the.
It's true.
Yeah,
It's true. There's
yeah.
definitely some strong cross pollination there.
Yeah.
If
Chris
you've
Craft
listened to the
applesauce?
Yeah, ours
Yes.
probably has more feds on it though.
certainly.
Yeah.
Seriously, though, we all need to do an episode where we all have Spider-Man outfits on because that would just be hilarious.
Point at each other a lot.
Yeah.
But I'm a huge Spider-Man option, like Spider-Man fan. Sorry, don't tickle my PP like that, unless you're
I mean,
serious.
we were, but now we're. I don't know. I'm gonna need to talk to somebody about. Do we have an HR department?
No.
We need an HR department.
And I did kind of go to school for it, but
It's what I do for a living, but
I
I'm
am
not
the worst
volunteering.
Yeah.
person
I'll
you
do
could
it.
ever think of.
I'll do it.
Well,
I
we
won't.
might need to review that because I don't know if I want to be tickling anybody's anything at this point.
yeah,
That's
certainly
then you
not,
need to
certainly
follow
not their
through.
Pierre Poliver. Yeah,
Then you just need to follow through on the Spider-Man episode. I said,
You wear your Spider-Man outfit anytime you want. Nobody will stop you.
Or judge
my
you much.
chalice is
Much.
nothing compared to the suit.
yeah. No kink shaming here, at least not online.
Maybe a little bit though.
Little
Oh,
bit.
yeah.
We'll make fun of the furries a little.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Yeah.
furries. If you've listened to us this long, you deserve a discount code when you're shopping at Ragnarok Tactical. Use discount code Patriot at checkout. Literally take money out of my child's college fund.
But also don't forget, use the Amazon link and you can compensate for it. Because
Yeah, I mean,
a lot of people buy more shit on fucking Amazon
it's true.
all day, every day.
It's true.
Yeah.
I have to apologize to Rod Giltaca. We couldn't fit Rod into the show tonight. I was expecting him to stop in, but it seems that Ian is here instead. So I can only hope that means that Thunderdome has occurred.
Have you ever seen Rod and Ian in the same room at the same time?
No. I've also seen neither of them dressed up like Spider-Man, but
I'll make some calls.
I want to remind all of our listeners out there in podcast land that you are a small fringe minority with unacceptable views.